So yes, we now have the second attempt of a video game adaptation of one of my most favorite video games of all time, the Super Mario Brothers. But is it any good? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for the Super Mario Brothers movie review. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. All right, guys, so now we're here for the Super Mario. Oh my God, what is that? Yes, that is not the movie we're talking about. This is the original Super Mario Brothers movie that came out in 1993. Oh my goodness gracious, that movie was horrible. But thank God they're trying again, because Mario does not deserve to go out like that. I mean, guys, have y'all seen this movie? I don't even think Rotten Tomatoes was a thing back then, but if we want to look now, nobody liked this movie. The critics or the fans, 29% from everyone, this movie was garbage. But the good thing is that Universal Pictures and Illuminations Entertainment wanted to swing at it again, and now they're bringing us to the 2023 version of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I'll be honest with you guys, like I said in my intro, I really did love the video game as a child. And when I first saw the trailer for this movie, it looked amazing. I was saying to myself, wow, I hope they can really pull this off. Instead of repeating what happened in the past, which was many decades ago, they're not trying to go live action. They're doing this animation, they're doing this CG, and I think that is the right way to go. We have so many obscure characters going into pipes, going across the world, dragons, mushrooms, talking turtles, etc. I don't think that is any way possible to adapt that in live action, and so I thought that the CG animation was the best route to go. Now, this is being directed by Aaron Horvath. I've never heard of him before, and also Michael Jelenic. They don't have that much experience when you look at their filmography, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, everybody does have to start from somewhere, and I guess this is where these gentlemen are starting. Now, this is also being written by Mr. Matthew Fogel, and this is what the gentleman looks like right here. If we scroll down to his filmography, he does have a number of credits under his belt, like Minions, The Rise of Gru, The Lego Movie Part 2, and you can see the screen and tell me if you've seen any of these movies and what you think about them. But like I said, guys, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was excited. I was happy. I was like, okay, it looks like we have a winner on our hands. And I was saying to myself, if the movie is as good as everyone wants it to be, this could be a $1 billion hit. This could be a $1 billion hit. But now, after seeing the film, I will tell you whether or not I still feel the same. But before we get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what the Super Mario Brothers movie is all about. A Brooklyn plumber named Mario travels through Mushroom Kingdom with a princess named Peach and an anthropomorphic mushroom named Toad to find Mario's brother Luigi and to save the world from a ruthless, fire-breathing Koopa named Bowser. King Koopa. So like always, let's start out with the good. The first thing that I did like about this movie is I found it somewhat funny. I was laughing a number of times throughout this film, not all the way from beginning to end, but when certain characters pop up, they did make me chuckle. One in particular is this gentleman right here by the name of Khary Payton. He played the Penguin King. Every time the Penguin King was on the screen, I was laughing. I was loving the humor. I thought it was somewhat dark, sarcastic, and had a dry tone to it, I know a lot of adults will like. They will resonate with this character a lot. There's a good mixture between silliness and seriousness with this character, and I found him to be one of the best parts of this entire movie. The next thing that I liked about this film is it's very colorful, and that's pretty obvious from the trailer. The next thing that I liked about this film is all the nostalgia that they were able to insert. If you were a fan of the video game from the 80s or 90s or from then on, you're going to recognize every other piece of nostalgic beat that they put into this film, and it will make you smile. Whether it is the characters' mannerisms, the tone of their voice, the themes, the sound effects, or the music, I loved it all. They knocked that out of the park. And literally every single thing dang near that was in the video game is in this movie. Whether it works or not, whether it's organic or forced, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you just want a ton of things that are familiar to you from the game, it will be in this movie. And of course, that ties into the nostalgia that I just spoke of. Another thing that I liked is if you are familiar with the game, they do have power-ups. You do have Mario eating mushrooms, getting bigger. You do have Mario getting a fire flower and powering up, throwing fireballs. You do get the raccoon suit and the cat suit and everything else that was in the game that was in the power-up. You do get that in this movie, and that is another highlight as well. And the last thing that I liked about this movie, or actually loved, I actually thought that this aspect was the best part of the movie by far, by light years, and that is King Koopa himself, Bowser, played by Jack Black. I loved everything about this character. I love the way he looked. I love the way he acted. I love the voice, like I said, voiced by Jack Black. This was the highlight of the movie. Towards the very beginning, you see how powerful and strong and threatening he is, but you also get to see a completely different side, and that is all the comedy that is coming from this character. I was laughing my behind off every time Bowser was acting crazy on the screen. Again, I love this character. He was the best part of the movie, and I want to see more of him. Now, guys, that's going to conclude everything that I did like about the film. Now, let me talk about some things that I really did not care for. The first thing is how old is Mario and Luigi? And you're probably saying to yourself, Brandon, does that really matter with them going around in the Mushroom Kingdom trying to save the day from King Koopa and rescue Princess Peach and Toad and all that? Yes, it does matter, especially if you're paying attention to the very beginning of this film. I don't want to spoil too much from you, but we do get to meet Mario and Luigi in the real world like we live in right now before they went to the Mushroom Kingdom, before they went into the pipes. And with that being said, I was just saying to myself, how are you guys living? What type of situation is this? Now, they are supposed to be Italian, and I'm not an expert on those group of people, but I do understand that different groups, different cultures around the world live differently. Especially with some families, they are very tight-knit and stick together. And I was trying to suspend my disbelief just a little bit so that I can accept the way that these characters were introduced. But at the same time, it was just a bit wild for me. I was saying to myself, this seems silly. This seems unrealistic. And you're probably saying, Brandon, are you saying that a Super Mario Brothers movie is unrealistic? Yes, I am. Speaking of the portions that resonate with the real world that we live in today, I expect that to be real, just like we're living right now as you're watching this video and I'm filming it for you. And again, I don't want to spoil it, but it does not make sense to me, the lifestyle that Mario and Luigi are living. And I want to know how old they are, because that just seems silly and over the top to me. The next thing that I did not like in this movie, guys, is there is no story. There is no story at all whatsoever. Even with the power-ups, even with all the nostalgia and Bowser and all that good stuff, all they did was take everything from the game and put it in the movie, put it in the blender, hoping that it would work out. And unfortunately, it does not for me. I wanted them to use the same trope that you use in every other movie, where some big adventure starts off and he's like, 100 or 1,000 years ago, there was a creature by the name of Bowser, and he had a brother, and they was fighting over power. But the good guys came and kicked him, and they banished him or wherever, yada, yada, yada. He always swore that he would come back for revenge. Anything like that. I mean, come on. That would have helped this film a ton, but there is no story at all. It's just, okay, hey, we got to stop Bowser, and that's it. And it is very unfulfilling. The next thing that I didn't like about this film is it was boring. About 30 minutes in, I started shifting my weight, taking deep breaths and saying to myself, okay, when is something interesting going to happen? Because it's not happening right now. And I want to go home. And this film is only 90 minutes, and that's sad. The only time my spirits picked up was when Bowser popped back on the screen and he was making me laugh. Other than that, I didn't care about Toad. I didn't care about Princess Peach, Mario, or Luigi. They didn't do a horrible job, but I just didn't care. I just didn't care. And again, there is just no reason for all the aspects that they are throwing into this movie. It just doesn't make sense. We know that this is based on a video game, and there was a number of times that the way they was changing the camera angle for us to view the characters, it did emulate the game, and they did try to have some type of adventure that related to the game as well, but it was just inserted into the film for no reason, no story, no plot whatsoever to back it up. It was just like, hey, here's a familiar course from the game. Let's see if Mario can run through it. Yeah, and it was choreographed right and nice and tight, but there was just no substance to it. I mean, it's like they were just going off of a checkbox, and in my opinion, that's not a good way to tell a story. I just wanted more on why the conflict was there in the first place. Why does Bowser want to kill everybody? Why does he have beef? Yes, he wants to obtain power, but why? What was the origin? And there's just no reason for it. There is no origin, there's no story, there's no plot. It's just characters and items and aspects, again, from the game thrown into the movie, and they just tried to mix it up. A lot of people were complaining that Chris Pratt was voicing the role of Mario, and I thought he was fine. It did not necessarily sound exactly like Chris Pratt. I mean, you can tell it was him, but he did try to work with the accent a little bit, and I don't have any complaints there. It was fine, and Charlie Day was fine too as Luigi, but at the same time, there were just nothing special about these characters to me. I mean, and I'm not even that enthused to talk about this movie. I was dreading it, like, okay, hey, let's just get this over with, and that just kind of shows how the quality is in this film, or lack thereof, in my opinion. I did post a fresh out of theater reaction when I got out of the theater in my car, and I did post that to my channel. And I did feel better about the film at that time, but having at least one day to think about it, I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their money. If you want to go see it, go see it, okay? Go see it, go see it, go see it. But at the same time, this is not anything that I can necessarily recommend to you or a wider audience. I'm pretty sure that kids will love this movie, and when I say kids, I mean little kids, little kids. If you want to take your teenager or somebody that's 10 or 11 years old, they may be rolling their eyes as well. But if you have a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old, I think they will have a blast with this. I just didn't, unfortunately. On my out of theater reaction, someone posted like, what do you mean? What do you expect going into a Mario movie? As long as it's good and serviceable for children and families, it's a success for me. Hey, all things are subjective. If you feel that way, you feel that way. But just because something is a Super Brothers Mario movie doesn't mean that it can't be compelling or have a strong story or anything like that. I'll go ahead and give my rating for this at the very end, but for now, guys, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did like this video, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, helping me reach my next milestone of 50,000 subscribers. I would really like to do that by the end of 2023, and I cannot do that without your help. But again, guys, if I had to rate the Super Mario Brothers movie out of a 1 out of 10, I would give it a 5.5 out of 10. Yes, a 5.5 out of 10. On my scale, a 6 or above is passing, so this falls right below that. I'm sorry, but again, if you want to see the film, go see the film for yourself. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to, but I do appreciate that you did. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.